Welcome back to Hardspace Shipbreaker. It's been a while since I've played this game. I've basically, this game is in early access and they're regularly making updates. And you'll see they've just recently added one called the Atlas. This is a brand new type of ship, which is sort of the main thing that brings me back to this game. Like, I think I'm waiting to actually do my official full playthrough of the game until they're formally done. But in the meantime, each time they release an update that has a new kind of ship, I kind of want to dive back in and check it out. So what I used to always do is play in career mode, which meant that I had limited oxygen, I had to pay for resources, I was trying to overcome my debt, all these other factors. But now that they're working on the story, a lot of their updates actually have to reset your progress in the career in order to basically be compatible, in order for your save to be compatible with the latest version of the game. And so I think I'm going to avoid career for a little while, just because I kind of don't have time to play through the introductory parts of the game again and again. Luckily, they've provided us with free play. So when you click on free play, they just give you a collection of sort of middle-of-the-road ships, including the newest ship, the let's see here, the Atlas. So we got an Atlas Scout Patrol Craft, an Atlas Cargo Hauler, and an Atlas Roustabout Tug. I like the word roustabout. So I tried, on like the very first day it came out, I tried an Atlas, just barely familiarized myself with the controls again. And I meant to immediately stream it right afterwards, and now I've already forgotten the controls. So I think I did the Scout Patrol Craft before. So let's do something that's still a little bit surprising and new. Let's try the Roustabout Tug. I'm still going to come across as a bit of an amateur, though, because, like I said, I've forgotten how a lot of the tools work. I'm going to be reminding myself the controls as we go, so please have patience with me. But as I understand it, the nice thing about free play is that I don't have to worry about things like, I'm pretty sure my oxygen is not running out. Okay, so yeah. WASD to move on the horizontal plane, space to go up, C to go down, and then I hold control in order to sort of freeze myself in place. Now, the special thing about the Atlas is that it's a double-decker. The main crew cabin, or the main, like, I guess you can't even always know it's a crew cabin, but sort of the main place that is pressurized where people live, has two decks to it. You can kind of see the shape of it right here. There's an airlock right here, and then down below, there's other stuff. So it looks like there's only air pressure in certain compartments. And dealing with air pressure is actually one of the more awkward parts of the game. There are some ships that are really, really good at managing air pressure, and there's just onboard systems you can use. There's onboard systems that you can use to, like, to clear out the air. But there's other ones where it's really difficult. So, okay, this is a pickup. I've been having trouble lately. Yeah, I've been having trouble lately picking things up. This says it's a pickup, but when I hit the F key, which is supposed to be the pickup button, it doesn't work. This might be... I don't know if this is a bug in the latest update, but you'll see that I'm firing sort of the burst from my... what's this called? My gravity gun? I'm firing a burst from that when I hit the F button, instead of interacting with the pickups. Okay, so that depressurizes the other cabin, which is dangerous. Oh, gosh, fuel leak? What? No, 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 no. Okay, obviously there was a better way for me to do that. Hold on a second. Okay, interesting. So I'm just... That fuel leak is a problem. I don't know if... I might want to restart, honestly. This might be a bad enough problem. Is there a fuel shutoff somewhere nearby? I'm wondering, because I don't think that there's like a pressure equalization switch anywhere in here. I don't think I had another better way to depressurize the cockpit. I think I can't use my cutting torch anywhere around here now with this fuel leak going on. Let's just see what happens if I try to... No, wait a minute. No, that's a bad idea. There must be a fuel shutoff valve around here someplace. It could be in the outer hull. Is there a trapdoor leading into the outer hull? I'm just strategizing now. Like, I think I might have already screwed up this session, but I'm trying to see what I should have done instead. I think maybe what I should have done like, okay, so these little joists here probably release the ceiling. So there's probably a way for me to get in to the outer hull, and that's probably where the fuel shutoff valve is. I don't know if my X-ray vision's going to tell me that. I think it's mostly tuned to... Oh, wait a minute, I can scroll. Is this what lets me follow the fuel? I haven't really learned to use my different X-ray vision modes. In any case, there must be something that I can do to have that not be full of fuel. Oh, actually, okay, hold on. What if what I need to do is just attach this tank? That's what I needed to do. Okay, okay, so it's no longer leaking fuel. That's great. I still need to be very, very careful with my cutting torch in here. So, all right, but since we're not leaking fuel anymore, I'm a little less scared. So let's cut these clear joints in here and see if that opens us a way into the outer hull. Like, was cutting those enough? Can I just lift this bit of hull off? It looks like no. It looks like there's still something else attaching it. You know, I haven't done actually my usual step. I wanted to explore what was pressurized and what wasn't before I started cutting. But yeah, there's some crap on top of this ship that I gotta deal with first. Oh, it looks like the real public enemy in the chat was giving me the exact advice that I needed, which was to pull the fuel tank. So thank you. I appreciate it. Sorry I'm bad at reading chat, and I wasn't able to benefit from your advice in a more timely manner. All right, so this structure here, it might be more about holding on the nacelles than it is about holding on the outer hull. Yeah, it looks like breaking those didn't really make this thing removable. And I'm not sure if it is removable. It all looks non-cuttable, which means... Yeah, so this thing right here is probably attached to the upper outer hull. What? How else are the nacelles attached? Okay, it looks like we've got this right here. One thing I love about this ship is the fact that the problems I'm solving right now are completely different from the problems that I solved the first time that I messed with an Atlas. So this Roustabout is very different from the Scout that I was messing with before. So it looks like maybe I need to deal with the nacelles first because they are blocking off parts of the hull. Okay, nothing's budging yet. See, what am I missing? So on the inside, there are a bunch of structural pieces that I can cut apart. The question is, how does one get into the inside? Could maybe these things come off? I wonder, can I just pull this off? No, it looks like it is attached somewhere. Okay, yeah, so these things are attached on the inside. So everything seems to be attached on the inside. So how do you crack into this thing? Is any part of it cuttable on the outside? It looks like the entire thing is made out of, like, nanocarbon, which I can't cut through. Oh, there's a little bit here I can yank off. I don't know if that's really important. One thing that's nice about free play, infinite tethers. So I guess while I'm here, might as well cut what I can of this thing. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, it looks like, yeah, there's just one more thing I needed to cut, and this thing does come off. All right, cool. So this needs to go into the barge. So let's tether it to the barge. Now, did that give me access to the inside? No, of course not. Why would it? Well, that raises the question, is there a way to get inside of it from the inside of the ship? I don't think I see anything. I don't see any passages or gaps. Okay, I'm making a gap here. Okay, I've detached the nacelle. So that's good. So it is now separate from the main ship. And so if there's work that I can do on the, you know, outer ship, I might have freed myself up to do that, but oh, this is so fascinating. Okay. I mean, I don't know. While I'm at it, while I'm out here, might as well cut this loose. This is one of the things I just love about Hardspace Shipbreaker, is that, like, the way you have to think at the very beginning when you just, you know, this whole ship has just been handed to you with no instruction manual, and you've got to figure out, oh, crap. I don't actually have a really good angle on the furnace anywhere. What was the cancel button for this? All right, I guess I'll just, I don't know, attach it here for now, and then there's a button for canceling. There it is. There's a button for canceling tethers. There we go.
Deposit accepted.
All right, so let me see. So that's the nacelle I detached. I can probably, I mean, while I'm thinking, I guess might as well just do the other things I know how to do. All right, then I hit T, and yeah, okay, so there is that bit right there in the middle that originally I thought was inside the nacelle, but actually it's just visible from the opposite end. But yeah, I just love these, the kinds of puzzles that they have you solving here. It's just nothing else that I've ever played is quite like this. The kind of just sort of logical and geometric puzzles that you have to solve to get into this game. And then the funny thing is, like, these puzzles are optimizable. Like, you can solve them once badly and then get insight into how to solve them better. It's kind of like a Zachtronics game that way, and that you sort of, you can progressively get better and better at solving the same puzzle. And then there's also sort of like just an execution skill involved in it, where, like, even if you come up with the right strategy, sometimes physically pulling it off can still be difficult. And so you just feel like you can always, like, there's this initial challenge of logically figuring out how to pull something apart, but then there's another layer of challenge. It takes much longer to master, and so it's simultaneously got all the benefits of a puzzle game, but also is a highly replayable game, whereas, you know, puzzle games struggle to be replayable generally, as a general rule. Okay, so now that I've seen that solution, I'm wondering, some of the cuttables on this end, are they secretly accessible from the outside and I just can't tell? That's one possibility. Or maybe, like, these little arrow-shaped ones over here. Could these be possible to break from the outside? I don't really see how. Aha! Okay. So these panels, these go into the processor, all right? Which, you know, there's a more accessible processor right behind me, but whatever. So I can just pull these panels right off.
Valuable object. Credit awarded.
And then does that give me something? Can I access the cuttables now? Still not yet. Let's pull off the inner ones too. See if that gives us something.
Object accepted for processing. Credit deposited.
All right. Yeah, so at this point, just got nothing but sort of black carbon here, blocking me from where I want to be. And I'm grabbing stuff, and it's giving me sort of red and yellow highlights. There's no progress bar saying I'm successfully ripping it off. What am I missing? I mean, I don't think they would have put all these cuttable bits on the inside of the nacelle. Unless there was actually a way to get in there. If anybody here really knows this game, I am... Oh, wait a minute. Ooh, these panels come off. Ha! This is what it is. Okay, got it. I was about to ask for help. I think we might have figured it out. So, one thing that I had not realized is how the UI reacts when something can be grabbed and pulled off. You can see I've got these 4 little pips around my crosshair. When I point them at something, there's more pips, sort of like show like outward motion, which means you can yank this thing off. So I can use that to survey something like this and figure out how to get inside it. So I gotta say, this is one of the more interesting and complicated disassembly methods that I've seen for something as simple as a nacelle. So I'm loving how they're sort of like over time ramping up the potential complexity of these challenges. And I also love that in free play mode, I just can use tethers like crazy and don't have to worry about it. Come on, pull it out of the way of the furnace. Pull it away. Come on. What? Okay, it's behaving weird. Get in there. All right, whatever. Anyway, let's cut these parts. Ooh, was it pressurized in there? Hold on. I don't see any pressure. I'm surprised it kind of poofed out like that, though. I guess there's a coolant canister there. I'm nervous about removing a coolant canister, though. Because if something in there requires coolant, I don't want to mess with that. All right, so let's tether these together, tether them to the barge, get them out of here. Come on, move, move, move. Okay, so now we've got what look like engines connected by fuel lines. Are these full fuel lines? Let's see. Okay, it says fuel system, but does that say there's fuel in the lines? So I know that these fuel lines are empty, for instance, but they're still showing up as red. I don't see radiation. Oh, wait, no, okay. Radiation is here in the middle, and so that's probably the reactor. That's something I was worried about. I was worried that the nacelles might have a reactor in them, and that I would need to be very careful about that. But it looks like maybe that's not the case. But the thing I don't know is how to safely cut these fuel lines. I don't know if they're... Because it could be that once I detach that one fuel canister, these fuel lines became safe. But I can't be sure of that. And if I cut one when it's not ready, that's a big problem. I feel like I ran into a challenge like this with the previous version of this ship, but I forgot how I resolved it. I mean, I could always try just cutting one of these pipes. The thing is, I never saw fuel lines connecting the nacelles to the central hull. And so it makes me think that the fact that I removed a fuel canister from there might have no bearing on the safety in here. But I don't see a way to yank this thing out while it's still connected to the fuel lines. So, I mean, this is a big risk. I think I might need to try to cut one of these fuel lines and see what happens. Unless, I mean, I don't know. There's other stuff I can do, I guess. I can try to pull this coolant off. And wait, this is a pickup? Okay, so I can collect this one. I couldn't collect those other ones. I'm not sure why. All right. Let me just double check that I don't think there's any other way. Like, it could be there's something on this side that gives me something I'm looking for, but I don't. Wait, what's this? What's this little thing? Oh, it's another coolant thing. Okay. It's interesting that they give me a situation where I can't fit in a gap. Like, normally, I've been able to squeeze into, like, the edges of a ship. But this is not... It's not letting me do it. So... Unless some, like, miraculous thing occurs to me here, I think cutting a fuel line is probably my best bet? Of course, wait a minute. Does this entire thing go in the processor? If every element of this goes in the processor, then maybe I just need to dump the whole nacelle in the processor and just not worry about this stuff. No, these go in the barge. So I do need to get them off. The real Public Enemy says, the tension here is palpable. I hope it'll last. Yeah, so... That is interesting how this game does create tension in an unusual way, because, like, I'm not worried about what some enemy is going to do to me. I'm worried of what I'm going to do to me. Okay, but yeah, I think I'm out of options that are not cutting a fuel line. So I'm going to cut a fuel line, and we'll see if this makes something explode. Oh. Okay. Okay, so I am supposed to cut this. Right, this is familiar from my first Atlas. Okay, so this is like a reactor. That's why I had the impulse that maybe there was a reactor in here, is because I remembered there being some kind of timing puzzle. But no, basically I have to cut the fuel line, remove the engine, and then get to the shutoff valve before the entire nacelle explodes. That's right. That's what I needed to do. Okay, well. We've succeeded with one nacelle. Now, is there anything here that does not go on the processor? If everything left is processor, and all I needed to do was get the engine out. Okay, this bit says barge on it. I don't know if there's a way for me to cut this off, though. I mean, now that these fuel lines are empty... Oh, wait, no. Even the fuel lines can't be cut. Okay, yeah, this says barge, but I have my doubts that... I mean, things that are aimed at the barge, in general, need to be grabbed intact. They turn into garbage if you cut them. And I don't really see a way to cut this out. So I think this nacelle goes in the processor. Oh, but before I do that, I forgot these two are connected, so I need to do it with both. Okay, so the real Public Enemy says that they knew what was going to happen. They just wanted to see if I was going to survive it. So, all right. So yeah, I love that as soon as you cut the first one, the timer starts. But you've got to figure out, like, you have to not panic, keep steadily cutting, and then go into a really dangerous looking place and pull a valve. If you generally have experience... Oh. What? Oh, these two sides were kept together by the engines. Oh, and the barge bits actually are free-floating once you disconnect both of the engines. Oh, and there's crap behind them. Oh, right, because we had these two. I remember I saw these two things. Wait a minute, let's look at the... I saw these things earlier, and I had forgotten about them. Oh, crap, these are a dangerous cut. Okay, so let's make as much space as possible for making good decisions. One thing I've learned about my home office is that it's actually harder to make decisions in small spaces. Make good decisions in small spaces. So let's remove some distractions here. Yank these two large bits into the processor. And can I get this thing off now? Okay, it does move. Now, can I pull these free yet? Okay, I can. Okay, good. I was worried that I was going to have to cut right next to these fuel tanks, but it looks like that's not the case. Yeah, it is funny. I spent so much time just figuring out what to do. I imagine the next time I disassemble a ship just like this, it's going to go so much faster because I'll know exactly what I'm doing. Though I think it does take a lot of mental overhead to remember the number of steps involved in this particular one. All right, so let's send all these guys down. Hey, 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 you, and then there. Get down there, fuel tanks. Okay, now with the fuel tanks taken care of, I can much more safely cut these cut points. Another cool thing this game does is, like, when you get introduced to a complicated new puzzle, it's still built from the same pieces as other puzzles. Like, there was nothing about this, even though this experience of needing to sort of, you know, cut the fuel lines and then clear the engine to get to the shutoff valve is very different from what they've done before. All the pieces are familiar. They're using the same language, basically, that they've used throughout the game, which means that I can figure it out. There's nothing about this thing that was just impossible for me, where I had to fail once. I had to risk failure, because I didn't know what would happen when I cut the fuel lines, but I didn't have to fail in order to find out the solution to this. Like, I was able to learn from what happened, you know, from what I had picked up in previous challenges, and I had all the information, all the tools that I needed at my disposal. Okay, so with those two, kind of awkwardly here, let's tie them in again just to make sure they don't drift into the furnace. So I've taken care of that one entire nacelle. Let's see how efficiently I can do this next one. So this goes on the barge.
Valuable object processed. Credits deposited.
Are there any other... Okay, yeah, so if I remember correctly,
Salvage deposit accepted. Credits transferred.
this was an important step. So actually, this was not a foundational step, though. I think that... Yeah, actually, these are a little bit of a red herring, because I don't think that these panels reveal anything critical. In fact, I could probably leave them on, since everything they're connected to also goes to the processor. I could probably just leave them here, but just for the sake of being complete, we'll do all the interactions. But in the future, to be efficient, I might want to just ignore those altogether. Unless there's some later step that they're important for. These guys, however... Actually, you know what? I think part of the value of those first two panels is that I discovered them first. Like, I didn't realize these rear panels could be removed, but I started looking for removable rear panels because I found the removable front panels. So if anything, the front panels have some value in that they're sort of, they give more surface area to the opportunity for the player to realize that panels can be removed. If the only removable panels were the correct ones, then that's a very sort of narrow set of opportunities for the player to learn that lesson. But if they put more panels like that onto the nacelles, then there's like more opportunities for me to figure out that that's a thing. So I have no idea, actually, if removing the coolant has an effect on the fuel puzzle. Like, is it possible that this coolant actually has some effect, and maybe I'm screwing myself over a little bit by grabbing it, or maybe the coolant is just here to be a hazard when I'm cutting these cut points, because you don't want, because it's all pressurized and it'll explode. All right, no, what is my, there we go. Grab that, send that to the barge. So, Director Cosmic says, what else do you do in this game besides disassembling? I mean, this is a very focused game. It's about disassembling spaceships. So, there's a lot of different spaceships that present different kinds of challenges. And then in between spaceships, there is an economic game where, like, right now I'm playing in free play mode, but there's a career mode where you also have to, like, manage your salary, your debt, your expenses, stuff like that, and upgrade your tools. So you start with tools that are less powerful than the ones I'm using right now. And then you have to work, at particular goals with particular disassemblies in order to earn the currencies that it takes to upgrade stuff. Okay, so let's make that go away, and then head into this flaming ship, past a bunch of obstacles, and get to the shut-off valve. Shut off! All right, there we go. And now, do it again. The story of this game is great, by the way. Like, the basic setup is that, this is sort of a future Earth where, like, economically everything's falling apart, and you're taking this crap job to, like, disassemble old ships from a more prosperous era so people can just sort of use their raw resources that nobody's making anymore. And you're being completely exploited by this horrifying corporation. And actually, I mean, your very life is basically owned by them. Like, they clone you at the beginning. They sort of... The very first thing that happens in this game is they clone you and kill the original you. And so now you're just a clone that they effectively own, working for people who do not have your best interests at heart. But it's great, though, because that's how they sort of justify the fact that you just die all the time but remain the same person. Is that you've got all these clones that are just owned by the corporation, and anytime you die, they just make another clone of you, and you keep going. And they've got they're using that sort of old school robber baron strategy of making themselves your only source of everything, and so they pay you, but then you spend all of your money back into either paying off debts that they've sort of forcibly incurred for you. Or, oh wait, I don't want to do this. In order to even take this job, you have to go into a bunch of debt. And then you just so you end up just paying all of the money that they give you back to the corporation that employs you. And so from the very beginning, you owe them like 1 billion credits or something like that. Some absurd amount of money that you will never pay off. And so a lot of the game is sort of just like watching your debt slowly tick down, not quickly enough, and it's trying to figure out how to efficiently do your job so you can try to make a meager profit and get yourself out of debt. And then a lot of the story stuff is surrounding, the struggles of these workers, their attempts to unionize, how badly that goes, that sort of thing. I haven't paid that much attention to the story because I kind of wanted to give the whole thing one solid playthrough after this is out of early access. So I've seen the beginning of the story, and I know the setup and what it's about, but I don't know the details of how it progresses. Wait, where was the other one? Oh, it's down below. Anyway, okay, so we've got this. It's so easy to get just turned around. Where is the barge? There's the barge. Okay, so for those of you who are new to the game, by the way, I just realized I have not done very much sort of fundamental explanation of what this game is.
Salvage deposit accepted.
basically there are these 3 different color-coded places where you can send stuff. There's the barge, which is where you send like expensive electronics, stuff that doesn't want to just be burned or disassembled, stuff that can be reused. Complex materials that are difficult to process go into the processor, stuff like recyclable stuff, basically. And then things that is just raw materials like iron or something like that goes into the furnace. And so, I mean, theoretically, with a small enough ship, you could just send the entire ship into the furnace if you wanted to, but you would make like no money on that because you'd be penalized for wasting all of the things that could not go into the furnace successfully. And so the reason you're disassembling this is so that you can send the barge parts into the barge, the processor parts into the processor, and the furnace parts into the furnace. And, you know, and they try to keep it as simple as they can. I mean, 3 things, three destinations is just enough to motivate you to fully disassemble everything. So yeah, so this goes into the processor, so I send it to the processor. This guy right here says barge on it, so it goes into the barge. And then this goes into the processor. So far, we haven't seen a lot of furnace stuff, and there's a reason for that. It's because furnace stuff, as a general rule, is cuttable. And these nacelles were meant to be a sort of a disassembly puzzle. And disassembly puzzles are a lot harder to make if everything can be just cut in half if you want to. And so they made this all processor stuff and barge stuff. If it was all just processor stuff, you could just send the entire nacelle into the processor. So they made it a mix of processor stuff and barge stuff. So you had to take apart the processor stuff in order to get at the barge stuff and send the barge stuff where it belongs. But they didn't include any furnace stuff, because if there was furnace stuff, you could just cut straight through the furnace stuff and subvert the puzzle. All right. So we've ripped off the nacelles. Now we're down to the central part of the ship. But we've been doing this for like half an hour, and usually I try to keep my episodes to about half an hour. So why don't we take a little break from this and wrap up an episode? Let me check the chat, make sure I haven't missed anything. Oh, Kimsa Bimsa showed up while I wasn't paying attention. So nice to see you, Kimsa. Yeah, so Jedi Cytrix asks, will you be doing a story mode playthrough once it's out of early access? That's my intent, yeah. So I want to do a full career playthrough once they've gone out of early access and they're done resetting people's save files. So I am looking forward to that. I'm betting it's going to be long enough with a lot of sort of repeated ship disassemblies that, like, streaming a playthrough of that is probably not going to be in the cards, just because nobody wants to watch me play an entire career of Hardspace Shipbreaker. But whenever there's a new element of this game or a new ship or something like that, I do like to come in here and stream it just to sort of, share it with people, because I think, this game really sells itself very well just watching somebody play. There's not a lot of games, there's a lot of games where a lot of what is fun about it is going on in your imagination, and it's hard to stream it and have it be any fun. Or some games are just very dialogue heavy and cutscene heavy, where having the commentary isn't that fun, because either I have to just shut up all the time to let the people talk, or I'm talking over it and disrupting the experience. Hardspace is a very, very streamable game because you can tell what's going on. You get this sort of like gut sense for what's fun about it just by watching somebody play. But there's not a lot going on that could interfere with the commentary and with sort of the streamability of it. So it's a very, very streamable game. So I really love to, whenever there's something new to share, I love to come in and show it off. All right, anyway, let's wrap this up. So here's a subscribe button. I am going to move on to completing the Atlas, and so I'll stick that video there when it's ready.